Good morning, everyone. It's Julie at Reflections Framing and Stitching. Today is Wednesday, August the 8th. I am back for my 21st Floss Tube video. I want to welcome everyone to my channel and thank those who are returning, and for those who are new, I hope you enjoy the video. Today I think I will be talking a bit about the state fair. I have a couple finishes. I have some plans. I have some a WIP, not a stitching WIP, but a needle art WIP. Dan and I went to the Brass Armadillo, as he likes to call it, on Saturday after work. They had a 15% off sale, so I'm going to show you what we picked up there and whatever else might come to mind while I'm chatting with you. I do want to thank everyone for all your lovely comments on my last video. You guys are the best. Thanks for the compliments on the hair. I'm still not sure I like it, but apparently everyone else does, so I'll keep it this way for a while. Come wintertime, I don't know. I get cold when my neck is naked, so it may have to. I got it cut a week or so ago, and she took my comment. You know how you can always tell the week of your haircut because it just feels long at that point? Well, I happened to mention that I could tell that it was the week of my haircut because it felt really long and heavy, and I think she took that to mean take it shorter. So she, this is almost 2 weeks out, so it was pretty short. So, but you guys seem to like it, so I'll keep it this way for a while. Let's just hop right in. I think the shop will open in about an hour, so I've got about an hour to get this done. This is actually take 3, people. I recorded a week ago and hated it, and I recorded yesterday morning and hated it. So God only knows if you'll see this one, because I don't know what's going on. I couldn't make eye contact with the camera. Way too many ums. Everything was disjointed. I don't know. I don't know what was the deal, but we're going to try it again, and hopefully you will actually see this video. I'm going to start with my finishes today. I'll leave the finds from the Brass Armadillo till later, and that way, if you're not interested in that, you can go about your merry way. So first finish, I don't know if it was someone that was in the shop or someone mentioned it in one of the comments, but they said I had never shown my finished O Tannenbaum. And I didn't realize that I hadn't done that, but I guess now that I think about it, I hadn't. So I have that here. It's maybe not completely finished because I'm still trying to decide if I want to put a little chenille trim around each individual piece. But I can show you what it looks like this way. I had told you that I wanted a frosty, kind of a frosty green box instead of the beige. And see, I don't even have these attached yet. Instead of the beige, and I had used I used 40 count fresco as my fabric because I didn't care for the legacy that was called for. So I knew I wanted a frosty green box, and I didn't at the time know what frosty green box meant. I tried a million different greens. Okay, not a million. I tried probably 5 or 6 different greens, And I wasn't really happy with it until the last green I tried, I hit it with, and you can see, I dry brushed some white over the top of it. And that gave me the frosty finish that I was looking for. So I can't put this one in the state fair because Dan and I both worked on it, and the rules say it has to be the work of one person unless it's a quilt. So that's the back. Dan, after I dry brushed some white on, then he went over it with a little bit of a antiquing wax to give it some age. But that is my finish of O Tannenbaum, and thank you whoever it was. I got to get better at writing these things down. That said I hadn't shown it because I thought I probably had. So there's that finish. I finished, this was one of my Mania pieces. It wasn't a Mania start, but it was a Mania whip that I worked on, and I actually have it finished now, and I know what I'm going to do for the framing. So this is With Thy Needle and Thread, Mary Noel. I didn't take the time to pull the chart, and I should have. I did do a few changes. The letters are supposed to be Gentle Arts Wood Rose, which is pretty orange anymore. And I just I wasn't feeling it for a Christmas piece, so I changed this to WIPS Dye Works Sanguine. I'm going to say Sanguine, only because when I was a kid growing up, there was a television show that came on, and I think it was just local, about 10:30 or 11 o'clock at night, and it was called Dr. Sanguinary, and he showed B horror movies, so you know, King Kong and Dracula and that sort of thing. They were pretty cheesy movies, but and he was all dressed up, you know, he had the white face with the blood dripping down and wore a lab coat, and he was a pretty popular dude here in Omaha. He's since passed away, but even Dan, he was on even when Dan and I started dating. So I'm going to call it Sanguine just because his name was Dr. Sanguinary and it was kind of spelled the same way. So this is Sanguine from WIPS Dye Works. I changed the bird to Country Redwood, and I think it was supposed to be Tennessee Red Clay. So bird is Country Redwood from Gentle Arts. I do have the little white snowflakes on there. They're hard to see. But I changed those to grits. WIPS Dye Works grits. I thought about beating them, but then I changed my mind. And that, I think, is the only changes I made, other than the fact that, you know, the fabric is 40 count. I believe it's vintage light exemplar from Lakeside Linens, but I'm not 100% sure on that one, so don't quote me on that. Anyway, it's done. I know exactly how I'm going to frame it, and the next time you see it, she will be framed. I don't know why it's a she, but it is. It's a she. She's done. Henrietta is finished and framed, and she's heading for the fair. So there she is in all her glory. Got this frame at Hobby Lobby, and I bought two just in case I can talk Izzy into making a male version for me. I still haven't written her an email. I'll have to do that soon, but I thought she needed a frilly white oval frame I think she's gorgeous. There's a little bit closer look at her. She's very regal, as a 6-foot tall puka would be. And I love everything about her. I love the fabric. I love her look. I enjoyed stitching her. I think the frame works good. I might have, if I'd had enough time, might have looked for a slightly smaller oval frame. But because the fabric has the writing on it, I think I can, it works to be a little bit larger. It couldn't be much smaller than, because her ears go back so far, and we don't want to cut her ears off. But that is technically, her name is not Henrietta, you know that. It's colonial hair from the primitive hair. Let's see, 1, 2, okay, I've shown you all 3 of those. Working on 2 whip. Okay, so it's a punch needle whip. It's not a stitching whip. I've had some problems with my hands the last couple of weeks. And one day last week, I had set it aside to do some framing, and I just couldn't do what I needed to do with my fingers. They were all swollen and sore. So I sat down with the gals that stitch here on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and Rodney. And I worked on my punch needle a little bit. So it's Little House Needleworks Bee Garden. I can't read backwards. Bee Garden. And that's how far I've gotten. I am not using the call for colors. I like to, when I punch, I like to use the Valdani balls, because you can just keep punching without having to change the color all the time. So I just dug through my stash, and really, truly, I've heard people say that the balls are too expensive, but it's like, I don't know, I think they're maybe less than $4 a ball, and there's something like 25 yards on there. So if you were to get 5 yards of Weeks Dye Works, you're going to pay $2.50 for that 5 yards. So do the math. It's going to cost you way more to use a Weeks than it is to get the Valdani. Plus, you're going to have lots left over to choose from. So I just dug through my Valdani stash, and I'm just using the colors that are close to what the picture shows. So I get to start doing the gold beehive next. I'm looking forward to that. That was fun. It was fun to sit down with the I don't normally get a chance to sit down. I'm usually too busy. So it was fun to sit with them and chat for a while. That is it for my finishes and my whip. I do have a couple of Dan's, and I may have shown both of these, but I don't know. You've seen this one, which you'll notice is still not finished. I had not found fabric that I liked for the back side, but I stopped at Hobby Lobby last week and I found some fabric, and I think it's absolutely perfect. I found, okay, so the finishing kit comes with the brown and white twine, which I knew I didn't want to use since I'd changed the fabric to gray sparkle. So I found some gray and white, which I think will look fabulous. And these are the little felted balls that come with the finishing kit. So I found this fabric, which it's hard to show you the ball, but you can kind of see it there between my fingers, is the exact same color of this fabric, which I think will look fabulous on the back side. So now that I have that, I can hopefully carve out some time to get those finished. He's kind of anxious to see them done. He's working on, I have 1, 2, 3 here. There's a 4th one. He's working on the 5th one right now. I did have 3 of them here that he'd finished, but I took one home because I thought there just needed to be a little bit more. I think I mentioned that because I changed the fabric, we're having to do a little bit, well, we're not. Dan's having to do a little bit more back stitching than what's called for. So I sent it home because I thought there was just a little bit more back stitching that maybe needed to be done. But he's got the tree farm done, which is adorable. And he has, oh, it's this one, the zinc house row. He's got that one finished. He did not appreciate that rounded back stitching on here. He used a not so nice word to describe it, but it's done, and we're gonna go with it. So those are Dan's. He doesn't, he's not gonna have anything for the fair this year because all he's worked on was Map of Hawk Run Hollow, and I pulled him off of that to do these ornaments. So, but I still don't think he would have had it done in time for me to get it framed for the fair. So next year he'll have some good things for the fair, but this year he doesn't. Then let's see. Well, as long as I'm talking about the fair, let me just talk about the fair and get that out of the way. I'm going to send 6 things to the fair. Henrietta will go, my Fractor Flowers will go, my little brick house that I showed in the last video will go, the Spring Fever that I showed in the last video will go, the Happy 4th of July will go, and then our last retreat project under the dome will go. And I think I've mentioned before that I don't send anything expecting to win a ribbon. In fact, I'm pretty sure that they will ding me, especially for my Under the Dome piece, because I stitched the trees in 2 different directions. And I did it knowing that it was just easier to stitch that way. I didn't care. Gives it a little bit of different texture. And it's my piece, so I can do with it what I want. If they want to ding me for it, have at it, people. I don't care. The people that are looking at it, which are the people that I'm trying to reach, is the general public, aren't going to care that the trees are stitched in 2 different directions. And that's my point about the fair. Don't enter the fair and get disappointed if you don't win something. It's 1, 2, or 3 person judging, and it's their opinion. The people that we're trying to reach are the general public. They're not going to look at it that way. They're going to look at it and say, oh, that's a pretty piece, or isn't that amazing, or look at how she finished that. That is inspiring, and that's why we're doing the fair, is to inspire people to start stitching, to come back to stitching, to continue stitching, to try different things, to try new fabrics and different flosses and techniques. That's why we do the fair, not because we want to win a ribbon. It's nice to win a ribbon. I'm not going to lie. I like it when there's a ribbon hanging on my piece. But that's not why I'm doing the fair, and that's not why you should be doing the fair. You should be doing it to perpetuate this hobby and to keep it alive and thriving. Because as we know, that doesn't always happen. It takes work to keep something going. If you look at what, okay, needlepoint at the fair in Nebraska is almost non-existent. There's nobody out there campaigning for needlepoint. It used to be cross-stitch at the fair was almost non-existent. I have been working hard for, I think this is the 4th year, to get people to enter the fair. So, and now we've gone from like 12 entries to, I think last year we had 70 entries, which is amazing to me. My issue is it's still the same people doing it. There's no one new that wants to step out on that. You know, I've heard from several people that they don't want anyone to critique their work because that'll take the fun out of it. You don't have to read those comments. And quite frankly, they're not making the comments to be mean. They're just trying to help you improve your stitching. But if you don't want to read what they say, throw it away before you look at it. Just take the envelope and toss it in the trash. Of course, you might be tossing something in the trash that says, wow, what a wonderful job, but that's your choice. Don't let that keep you from entering the fair. That's not a good reason. I don't accept it, so I'm stepping down off my soapbox now. It's not too late to enter. Go for it. You'll be happy you did. That's it for the fair. I had asked, I mentioned a couple videos ago that I was feeling somewhat underwhelmed with the models in my shop, in comparison to the video I saw of Keepsakes. And I realized Keepsakes has been around forever. I've only owned the shop for 3 years, almost 3 years. So no, it's not going to be as fabulous. But I had comments that after that video that of people saying offering to stitch models for me. And I want to say thank you for offering. I appreciate those offers. I can't afford to pay someone to stitch models for me. So that is why I have not taken you up on your offers. It's not fair of me to have people stitch and not be able to pay for it. So I'm more or less just going to continue on, try and get as many smaller projects done as I can. And every once in a while beg one of the stitchers that stitches here to do something small for me, which is what I did when I got in the Tiny Modernist One Stitch at a Time. It's a very cute chart, nice bright colors, not my aesthetic. I knew I wouldn't probably stitch it this way, so I asked Mary, who does like bright colors, to stitch it for me. So this is 32 count mellow, which is not the called for fabric, but that I'm aware of. I just thought it looked like the picture. So she stitched it up for me, and it turned out really, really cute. My plan, and I don't know when it will happen, I'm going to go ahead and get this finished up. I haven't decided if I'll frame it, or if I'll make it into a pillow, or a box top, or I just don't know yet. So it might get pinned to the wall like that one until I can figure out what I want to do with it. But in the meantime, my plan is to take the colors that were called for, dumb it down a little bit, just knock them down, and put it on a dark fabric, just to show that, just, you know, don't avoid stitching this because the colors aren't what you like. Make the colors what you like. Change the fabric. So I think that's what I'll do for mine. The colors are just a little less bright. fabric is way darker. This is chestnut from Weeks Dye Works, I think. But I think it will look fabulous on that. And then I'm going to display them next to each other to show people what, you know, the difference. I thought it would be a little fun little display. So that's that, and thank you, Mary, very much for, I don't think Mary watches Floss Tube, but thanks, Mary, for stitching that for me. I appreciate it greatly. Okay. Then, another plan I have, did you know, well, you probably do, I've been hiding under a rock apparently, that there is a stitch-along for Anna Grader. This was one of my favorite pieces from Market this past year. I still haven't sold a single one of these charts. I'm not sure why. I think it's beautiful. There's a stitch along. I'm trying hard not to join it because I know I won't keep up. But she is in my plan to stitch. It calls for 36 count tin roof by Weeks. Y'all know I try and avoid 36 count just because of the one thread's not enough, two is too many. So I think I might try 40 count fabric that I walnut crystaled. It looks like this. And these are her colors, which surprisingly enough there are only 6 colors, and I think they'll all look fine. Let me bring that up a little bit. So at some point I will start stitching on her. I kind of have it in my head I need to finish one more thing before I can start anything new, because that will mean I will have finished 1, 2, I think 4 things, maybe 5. So for every 5 I maybe get to start something new. And unfortunately there's about 20 different things that I want to start, so I'm going to have to choose wisely. Something that I can get done in a fairly short amount of time would be nice. So that's one of my, oh dear. No, that's nothing. That's one of my choices to start. The next one is a fall piece. I have never have I ever? I don't think I have ever stitched a drawn thread. I admire the drawn thread charts. I don't know why I haven't stitched one. I have several in my stash. This particular one is for fall. It's part of a series, and I fell in love with it a couple of years ago when I saw it. It's called Simply Autumn. Now, this is cute by itself, but on the back side, they show you all the seasons put together, which is really cute. And I can't decide if I want to do them all together or one at a time, so I'm hesitating a little bit. But I did stop and pull some fabric and the threads, and I kind of like this combination, which would mean I would have to stitch them separately because I don't think this would look good on all of the seasons. But for this particular season, I think it would be really pretty. This is also coincidentally called Chestnut, but this is from Stephanie. And it's a lovely olivey green, khaki green, olive green, turns brown in some lights. And I have been trying to figure out what I want to stitch on it because I just fell in love with that color. But those are the colors in the piece. So I'm kind of thinking that maybe I would do this one first because A, it's small, B, it's fall, so it would get me something new for fall, and C, I could use this fabric, which would be fun. But I don't know. Do you have an opinion on what I should do? If you do, share it with me. I'll listen. I may not go with what you think, but I'll listen. This is the winter version. And I don't know if you noticed, but it like says winter down the side. I didn't notice that at first, which is why I thought I would point that out. This one has autumn hidden. It's almost hidden in amongst. It's right there. Spring has the cute little bees and beehive. Or, sorry, summer. And spring has a couple of robins, it looks like, and some flowers. It's really pretty. So I don't know, all together, separately, I have a little time yet before I need to make that decision because I'm working on, what am I working on? Coverlet houses, and I want to finish it before I start anything new. So that takes care of everything that's plans, haul, whatever you want to call it, WIPS. I have some new things in the shop. Not very many things, but some new things. I know I showed on Instagram this big old stack of mail a week or so ago, and I actually did the video opening it up, but that was the video that I did not care for it, so I did not post it. I'm sorry, you will never see what was in those boxes. It wasn't mostly it wasn't anything really new. It was mostly replacement stuff. It's been really busy in the store and things have been selling. It's just not new things that have been selling. It's older things that have been selling. So I've just been replacing as things go. And so I don't have a whole lot of new, but I do have a couple of things. Little House has this new adorable, look at that squirrel, punch needle. He is so cute. He will be my next punch needle project. The good thing about punch needle is it goes fairly quickly, so you can whip them out. I did order some new Valdanis. Because I needed some greens. But I'm looking forward to that one. The latest in the Cock-a-doodle-doo in the Farmhouse series is, look at that ruff. Look at that ruff. I think I'm all about checkerboards now since I did my little brick house. That is adorable. Absolutely adorable. And this is probably the one and only time I can type that word into the computer and have it bring up a chart. Connie always went on about one of the word plays has the word pussy on it. And she said that was probably the only time she would ever be stitching the word pussy on a cross stitch. So now I trump her and I can put cock in the computer and have it bring up a chart. A Fine House Indeed from La Di Da. Another checkered house. I have not looked at the colors on this yet. I'm hoping this is a bad picture because the colors are kind of blah. But I haven't had a chance to pull the colors yet. It's a big mofo though. Country Cottage Needleworks camping trip. There are a lot of campers out there. I prefer glamping to camping. I want running water, a flush toilet, a shower, electricity, air conditioning, no bugs. So I am not much of a camper. Little Dove Designs, Black Cat. These are not necessarily new, although this one is. It says 2018 on it. I'm not sure if you're all familiar at all with Little Dove Designs. They do some really sweet designs. This is a Halloween black cats and pumpkins. It's really cute. And the saying, it says, when black cats prowl and pumpkins gleam, may luck be yours on Halloween. And that's really cute. Got the little spider web. A stitched spider web is the only spider web I want to see. There's been one at home that keeps spinning his web across the... As you go up the stairs to go to the front door, there's 2 posts. And the dang thing keeps spinning his web across those 2 posts. So you come home in the evening and it's right in your face. And you get spider web across your face, and there's nothing worse than spider web on your face. And you do not want to see the little dance I do when that happens. Nor do you want to hear the shriek that comes along with it. Abby got me a little sign for Christmas this last year that says there's nothing to fear but fear itself and spiders. I do not like spiders. I don't want to share my house with them. I don't want to share my outdoors with them. So walking into their web just always freaks me out. This next one is also a little dove called Happy Halloween. This is not new. It's pretty old. But I thought it was cute. And again, the best kind of spider is just a stitched spider. And even those sometimes freak me out. And lastly, we can blame Michelle Bendy Stitchy for this one. She's working on it. I saw it. I thought, ooh, that is really cute. So, Tiny Modernist, The Haunted Mansion, Part 1. That moon is incredible. Love the roof. This one here with the little, what do they call that, a widow's walk? Bats. So that is all I have to share as far as new in the shop, which leaves me with, let me check my notes to make sure I'm not forgetting something. Nope. It leaves me with the brass armadillo. I mentioned earlier, Dan always refers to it as the brass armadillo because it's Dan, and that's what he does. 15% off sale. Hard to ignore that one. So after work on Saturday, we trotted our little happy butts out there. They had their grand opening. They used to have a Subway or something in there, but now it was the grand opening of their pickles something. Not a fan of pickles, but they did have hot dogs, so we had ourselves a hot dog before we started walking around, and they had free cake and ice cream, which was really good. And we got there probably about 5 o'clock, and they kicked us out at 9. I wasn't quite done shopping, and I didn't get everything that I wanted to get, but I did come home with a few treasures. Found an oval frame. Wish I had found it before I framed Henrietta. I could have painted this one white and it would have worked. The opening is the same size, but I'll keep it in case someone else wants to frame Henrietta at some point, and then I will have one. The rabbit, this is the depth here. We call that a rabbit in the framing business. Much better than the rabbit in that white frame that I bought at Hobby Lobby. I could barely fit the stitching in that one. And so when I finished it, I had to actually glue, not the piece, but I had to glue just mat to the back of the frame, because there was no way to put any nails or points or anything to hold the piece in the frame, because number one, this is a resin and it would just shatter it, but there was no depth either to do that, so I just had to use a piece of acid-free mat to keep it in the frame. It works, but it's, not what I would normally do. So the frame was nice to find. It was inexpensive for an oval frame, so I was happy to get that. I got a nice jar of wooden spools. There's a couple cheap plastic ones in there, but for the most part, there's some nice wooden spools in a nice jar. Gotta love those. Picked up a jar of buttons. There's also some, oh, look at that button. That's a button. Look at that. I gotta figure out something to use that on, because that is super cool. There's also some, I don't know if that's tatting thread or crochet thread, maybe. I don't know. Spools. There's some cream colored ribbon in here. There's another spool of some sort of, buttons. I like buttons. Excuse me. I found these two little beehive spools. I first saw these spools at Market. I can't think of who had them in their room, but they were selling them, and they were decorated up nice, and she had scissors in them. So I picked these two up because they are nice to hold scissors. They're a vintage antique spool, kind of look like a beehive. So I picked those up. Always need more things for scissors, right? And I got a couple of, well, let me show you this one. Flower frogs with a vessel. So, yeah, I found the frog, and then I found the vessel, which a lot of times Dan and I go to the brass armadillo just specifically looking for this, and I kind of end up getting tunnel vision, and all I see are potential vessels and frogs. This time I got to see, I wasn't going specifically for this, so there was a lot of other stuff there that I would have liked to have brought home, but didn't for one reason or another. But anyway, so there's that one, which is very pretty. And then in the course of walking through, I ran into this particular one 3 different times, 3 different price ranges. By the third time I saw it, I'm like, oh, and 3 different vendors. By the 3rd time I saw it, I'm like, okay, God's telling me something, because I'd passed it up because it's a little bit bigger and chunkier than what I normally like to get. But I figured if I'd seen it 3 separate times, this was the best price. God was trying to tell me something, so I bought it. And it is pretty. I love the pink depression glass. It has the benefit of the extra holes on the lace edging, so scissors can go in there, scissors can go in here. It came with the frog. It fits nicely. I like my frogs to fit nicely and not be sloppy. So I went ahead and bought that one. And then Dan found the find of the day. He says, oh, look at that. Look at this cross stitch. And I've already taken it out of the frame. It was framed. I knew it was going to be framed poorly because it was all puckered. I had a suspicion it was probably on sticky board, and it was. It also had tape around the edges, masking tape. Big no-no. Masking tape is just chock full of acid. And it leaves a sticky residue that you can't really get off, and as a framer, I don't like touching sticky residue. But anyway, it was this. I believe she's lavender and lace. Could be Mirabilia, but I think it's lavender and lace. And I can't remember the name. I didn't bother to take the time to look up the name of it, but I believe the chart is still available. I do not have it hanging on the wall, but I'm thinking I will clean it because it's pretty dirty, and stretch it, frame it, and hang it on the wall. The stitching is not necessarily the best in the world, but can you tell that? I can't, not from this distance, and you're going to be viewing it, you know, on the wall, so I think it'll be beautiful as a model. And who can leave a lavender and lace or a mirror there? So Dan is still confused about that because I bypass a lot of stitching, mostly ducks, teddy bears, geese. I'm not bringing those home. So he did not understand why this one was any different. So if one of you would like to explain it to him, feel free. I've already tried. He doesn't get it. I did pay $22 for it, but I thought it was worth it. And she'll be beautiful when I'm done with her. Not that she's not already, but she'll be clean. She'll be stretched nicely. She'll be framed nice. It'll be nice. It'll be good. Then I have discovered a new artist. This has nothing to do with stitching, so if you want to tune out, feel free. But I have discovered a new artist, and I wanted to share their very first piece of art with you. You might recognize the subject matter in this piece, because on occasion the subject matter has been in one of my videos. What do you think? Recognize her? This would be Rags. This is done by Daniel. I'm going to have him autograph this, and I'm going to frame it up because I think it's stinking cute. He was coloring with Emma. And the next thing I know, this is on my refrigerator. So I figure if he thinks it's good enough to go on the refrigerator, then I might as well frame it and display it. I think he did a good job. Colors may be off a little bit. She's not really orange, but you know, that's what her hair looks like. So that's my new artist. And then, speaking of rags, well, let me back up a bit. If you watch Kitten Stitcher, Teresa, she was talking about thread drops on one of her videos, and although I was aware of what thread drops were, I couldn't really think of what use I would have for a thread drop, because Gentle Arts, Weeks, Classic Colorworks, Carries, they all have their little cardboard on them. So I was trying to figure out why you would need thread drops. So I asked the stitchers last week, and they explained that, you know, a lot of needlepoint fibers don't come with a piece of cardboard on them, and so a lot of needlepointers use them. And I'm like, well, okay, we don't sell needlepoint, so I just really didn't see the point of having them here in the shop. And then I was watching Lori from Mischievous Stitches. She did a tutorial on how to make your own thread drops. And again, I was like, well, that's a great idea. Those are really pretty. I wouldn't probably have any use for them. I didn't think there was any reason to carry any in the store. And then I went home. And I found this laying on my floor. Now the thread was still, you know, when I do floss here, you know, we twist it up to save space. And that's how I keep it at home too. It was still twisted up with its little knot on the end and laying on the floor. Rags does not eat the thread. She only eats cardboard. Luckily, I got to this one before she totally ate the name off, because that's usually what happens, is she eats it and I don't catch it in time, and then you have this piece of floss that you have no real idea what it is. You can maybe make an educated guess, but you might not actually know what it is. So it's just coincidental that this happened at the same time as I was watching these videos on the thread drops. And I used to scrapbook a lot, so I have all the punches and I have all the papers and I have all the glues and yada yada yada. So I made a thread drop, and there's the rescued thread. So I guess now I see that there is a use for these things. So I was showing this to the ladies yesterday, and they're like, well, I want some, and this person said, I want some, so I'll probably make a few for them. I don't know that I have a huge use for them, but I'll keep a little stash of them for those times when Rags gets a hold of. Dan is terrible about just leaving the floss laying on the table and it gets knocked off, and Rags she's like super sneaky when she does it. She just kind of casually walks by looking like butter wouldn't melt in her mouth, swoops down with her head as she's continuing to walk with the piece in her mouth, and then goes over in a corner and chows down on the cardboard. So most of the time you don't catch her when it's still legible. But hopefully, when I do, I can at least put it on something. And so they are useful. Don't discount things just because you think you won't use them, because you end up going, aha, that is a brilliant idea. So, I think that, let me look at my notes. I was trying to be a little more, oh, yeah. I did want to, I haven't watched a lot of FlossTube lately. It's been busy, and so, I've watched I've watched the regulars. I've watched a couple new people, but I don't remember who they were at this point. I'm going to try. No, I'm not even going to say it, because we all know that I say these things and then I never follow through. So I'm not even going to say, oh, I'm going to try and make notes and keep track of that. It's just not going to happen. But anyway, I did watch Country Stitchers the other day, and they did the tour of Deb's craft room, which was amazing, and it made me want to go and clean up my crap room, and which is still not clean. You still can't walk through it. So hopefully it inspired me that maybe I'll get down there. I'm going to have to work Sunday on framing. Hopefully my hands will be feeling better by then. But she did inspire me, so thank you for your tour of your craft room. Always enjoy your videos. And let's see, was there anything else I wanted to talk about? Oh, StitchCon. Got my invoice. Thought about it for a couple of days. Talked with a few people. Talked with Penny, and she's like, well, I'll go if everyone else is going. Pam said she was going. Pam, Stitching Between the Lines. Penny McCabe. I talked with my friend Sherry. She said, well, I'll go if you go. Talked to Kathleen yesterday. Please bombard her with messages and say you would like her to be at StitchCon next year. She's still on the fence. She's thinking about it. But show her some love. Let her know you'd love to meet her in person. But I did pay my registration fee, so I will be at StitchCon 2019. Looking forward to it. Not sure if I'm going to fly or drive yet. Got lots of time to think about that one. I'm leaning towards driving, just because then I can bring something for the brag table, and I can bring stuff for the swap table. I can bring stuff that makes me a little more comfortable. So more than 3 projects, not that I will work on them, but I can bring them, which will make me feel more comfortable. Choices. I love to have choices. So anyway, looking forward to meeting new people, looking forward to seeing the ones that I met last year that I probably won't remember that I met you last year, because there were a lot of people. I know I enjoyed talking to all of you, so just remind me if I did talk to you last year, because I'm not going to remember. I think my brain is going. I don't remember much of anything these days. Anyway, that is... I hope my brain's not going. That would really be bad. Bad enough the hands, I think, are going. Anyway, that's, I think that's all I have for you today. I'm about 10 minutes away from opening up the store, so I need to clean up my mess here. Have a great day, everybody, a great week. Keep stitching. Keep making those videos. Thanks again for watching mine. I know I'm not the most exciting person in the world. I had a customer in here this week that watches the videos, and she's like, yeah, you're just always so calm, so cool, just like, and this is this, and this is that, and I just wasn't sure whether that was a good thing or a bad thing, but she's watching, so I'm going to take it as a good thing. So thank you for watching, and you all take care till next time. Bye-bye.